Alright, so we're here with a magical musket deck profile. A lot of you guys have been asking for one. So this is John, and he's going to go ahead and take us through his musket profile.
Alright, so the monster lineup is relatively standard. You got 3 Caspar, by which I mean 6 Caspar. I've seen lists playing like 1 of this, 2 of this. You need 3 of this. It's a really good opener. Baits hand traps as well, and then it puts an extra body on board, so you could keep the more useful musket like a Caspar for your opponent's turn to continue getting advantage after link summoning the max. So this is absolutely necessary, I believe. And then currently the ratio is 3 Kid Brave and 2 Doc. This fluctuates a lot. The reason why I prefer the 3 Kid Brave personally is because that is every single one of the musket cards says once per turn. So if you happen to draw into unfortunate multiples or a hand that has an excess of monsters, you really sometimes need the Kid Brave more than the Doc to unbrick. Don't get me wrong, Doc plus Caspar is extremely resource efficient, that you just keep recycling your cards basically constantly, and then whatever you search off Caspar you can then use for the Doc and then, you know, get more cards. I just feel that the Kid Brave is very necessary. Again, just unbrick hands, basically. And then the last musket you play is 1 Wild. It's the last kind of good musket. Zachiel, I've definitely considered it because it can apply a lot of board pressure. It's just unfortunate that, of course, it can't be normal summoned. It can be specced off the max, but sometimes it's just kind of a brick. Wild is extremely necessary because in this profile you go through your resources really, really fast, and just being able to shuffle back 3 into the deck so you can keep searching off Caspar and then draw 1 in addition to that is insane. So these are all the muskets that I play. It's a little on the heavier side, but again, if you don't see a musket, you literally can play none of this deck. So you either see the musket or you can't play it. So these
Makes sense.
So yeah, so these, and then you use the Kid Brave if you do draw into too many muskets. You use just the Kid Brave to kind of filter through. And then the only 2 other monsters I play are hand traps. So 2 Ghost Ogre. It's by far the best hand trap this format. Really hurts the Thunder deck. Striker, Draco, Pen, all of those decks get hurt the most by Ogre. 2 Ash. The reason why I'm not playing 3 Ogre, and I really wanted to play 3 Ogre, quite honestly, I couldn't find the space for the 3rd Ogre. I'm still looking around for it. You don't want to play too many actual hand traps and muskets because they don't proc your muskets. So if they're activating out of hand, you're not getting advantage off of them. So yeah, 2 Ogre, 2 Ash. Ash is just, of course, generically good, and then Ogre is for the better for the meta matchups.
So that's it for all the monsters?
Yeah, that's the entire monster lineup. It's a pretty, hefty monster lineup, but yeah. And then on to the spells. You play 1 Steady Hands, and of course the 3 Cross Domination. I think this is relatively standard. You really need 1 of these just to be able to handle like random problems that come up. Additionally, the reason why I like Steady Hands a lot is because it's one of the few musket cards you can activate when you have nothing, or when your opponent doesn't do anything. So if you just need a search because you can anticipate what your opponent's about to do, you just drop this on board under a Caspar or under a Doc and then fetch whatever you need for the future. And then this is just self-explanatory. It's insane. Protects your muskets, allows you to push, negates things that your opponent does. It's, of course, that's standard. Other assorted spells, you play 1 Upstart Goblin because it's for some reason like a +3 in this deck. And then you play 2 Pot of Desires. I dislike playing 3 Pot of Desires.
I think everybody dislikes playing 3, yeah. So yeah.
Just activating this, say, under a Caspar is actually nuts. And again, you play, the only 1-ofs you play in this deck, you don't really mind banishing them much anyhow. So you literally draw 2 and then search or summon off your musket, do whatever you have to do. So yeah, these are just kind of standard and just really, these are really crazy. And then right now I'm playing 2 Called by the Grave. I was playing the Magical Musket Trap that banishes 3 from Grave. The thing is, I think that this does its job, but slightly better, because it not only stops hand traps that can interfere with your max, but it's also like, if you need to drop it at any given point, you can. And again, it simply protects the max better. I will side into the Dancing Needle, because that card's insanely powerful. I just couldn't find space for it in the main.
Yeah.
So 2 of those, and then 2 Instant Fusion. This is the hideous, sometimes but not all the time philosophy. When I was playing this at 3, if you ever see multiples of this, it's just so dead. This card is insane. You just drop a musket on the board, dare them to do anything, and then activate it under it, break their board, rip their stuff up, and then just get pluses. So the card's really, really good in the deck, really strong. It's also defensive because it, of course, goes straight into Link. And then the last spells you play are the 3 semi-obligatory Ties of the Brethren. I was playing this at 2. I don't like restricting my summons. I don't like leaving only 3 muskets on the board, especially since I'm blinding second and not making max. But at the same time, you can negotiate the max around this, especially with Starfire, and just activating something, getting the musket out, summoning the max, getting your pluses, and then you have an extra cast bar, summoning monsters off the max. There's so many ways that you can play around this and just get crazy amounts of bodies on board that your opponent basically just can't play the game anymore. So yeah, I feel like you still do need 3 of this card. I don't like it because of the life point reduction and because of losing the battle phase. But again, like this deck has to play the long game, and eventually your opponent's just gonna be locked out of just playing Yu-Gi-Oh. That's the point of this game. It's just bang bang. You have no fun.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. I've played against it quite a few times, and it is very annoying.
So now for the Musket Traps, you play, again, this is relatively standard. 3 Despacito, just target a face-up, destroy it. It's really straightforward. And 3 Wise is a counter trap. Any threat occurs to your muskets, anything that you don't like, or you just see a card and don't feel like having to deal with it that day, just gone. It's a counter trap, it's insane. Muskets will activate new chains, so you still get the advantage off of it. These are standard. And then I think that this is an obligatory absolute must one. I was thinking of cutting this to 2 out of fear of desires, but it is a brick going first. Fun fact, this is the only card that does not say you have to control a magical musket to activate this card. So if something happens to your musket during your turn, you just set this with a musket in hand, activate it during their turn, spec the musket out of hand, know all your stuff is live and your opponent is in fear. So this card is also absolutely insane for just keeping the push going every single turn. So just like extra monsters, extra monsters, extra advantage every turn. You just keep like adding more muskets to the board. And it's really, really impressive. Like I said, I was considering 2 of this card because it's really just that good. And then again, for the last kind of jank 2 of Impermanence, the reason why 2 is because once you get set up, it becomes extremely redundant because you have Cross now, which is just a better impermanence. But again, it's good when you have no muskets necessarily, and it's also good going first, and it's also good to just say set it under a musket, and then, you know, this deck has a really good time and a really fun time locking out your opponent's columns. So you can use it to manipulate your opponent's columns to kind of spook them into activating things or not activating things in positions. So I like 2. I don't think I'd play 3. It's strong, this format, but not crazy. So, like I said, if I wanted another of any hand trap, it would be the 3rd Ogre, because Ogre's just that good.
Makes sense.
And then lastly, I play 2 World Legacy Awakens. Again, the obnoxious sometimes but not all the time philosophy. When your opponent is mid-combo, and they say have like 5 monsters on board, and all of a sudden Max shows up out of nowhere, especially if you're activating this and then link summoning away a musket that's in a different column, so you get the plus off the musket in the column, and then you spec a max, and then you search 3, 4, 5. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
Especially
it seems
any,
very good.
Like, if any kind of threat occurs to any of your muskets, you just kind of zap them off the board, make a max, start plussing, and then all of a sudden, you're back in the game.
Yeah.
I've really been liking this at 2. I don't think I would ever play 3. If you ever see more than one of this card, it's awful.
Yeah.
So you never ever want to see more than one of it, but I really am liking it at 2. So that is the main deck. It's 41 cards plus Upstart. I don't mind playing 41 cards, and again, the Upstart is, of course, the Upstart is like full Guard Dragon combo.
Yeah.
Castbar Upstart is just full Guard Dragon combo, but for Musket. So
Yeah.
you, of course, play that obligatorily. I also like this card, this deck. I may even go to 42 with the 1 Upstart, and again, throw in that 3rd Ogre, because this deck has a tendency to draw all of one thing or all of another when it does brick, so all spells and traps are all monsters. And to kind of avoid that, you just kind of up the card count a little bit to help diffuse cards.
Yeah.
Power shuffling helps. If you don't power shuffle when you play in between playing rounds with this deck, you're going to lose.
Always pile shuffle, everybody. There you go.
Yep.
Extra deck now?
Yeah, extra deck is going to be the 1 restrict. Again, cards self-explanatory. It's insane. Outs things and makes Link Karibo.
Yep.
Your super poly targets: 1 Starving Venom, 1 Predaplant, and 1 Mud Dragon. I'm thinking of seeing if I can find a Vortex Dragon, an Oddeyes Vortex Dragon, but at the moment it's just like finding space for it. I would most likely end up taking this out for the Oddeyes Vortex for the Pendulum matchup, but it's just this is a little bit more generic. I just think that this does its job better. And of course, be siding into super polys. So, 1 Honorary Musketeer. I dislike the new time rules, but this man really likes them.
Yep.
1 card that won Worlds. and 1 Abyss Dweller. It's not as good this format. It's also something I've been considering cutting, but back when Orchist and Salad were running around, you go ahead, do your thing, Starfire into a wild, you just overlay for this, and there's not a whole lot they can do.
Yeah.
So that's all for just your non-Link monsters. The rest is just Link monsters. Obviously, to make off of the
Thousand Eyes.
Yeah, off the Thousand Eyes. It protects your muskets, which is insane. Like that's just such an added plus that you don't always have to worry about your muskets just getting beaten over because you have this thing. And then the Heart and Soul.
The 3 max.
Yeah, new boy, big boy. You need 3 so that you can grind and just keep plussing and keep being a threat to your opponent. Funny story, you can put this back not only off Wild, but also off Dock. I've been Mega Zaborged before, and then just Wild all 3 of these back in my extra deck.
Very nice.
And, yeah, so no skin off my back there. Then you play your generic Linked 2s, which are Security Dragon and Phoenix. These are both fun because they're always going to be co-linked. When this is co-linked, you can bounce a card on the field. And when this is co-linked, you obviously get to destroy this spell, but also draw 1.
Yeah.
Because of the advantageous arrows of both Max and Link Karibo, you can freely play these, and they're both, big threats to your opponent. Finally, Link 3, you play Ningirsu. Basically what you usually do is if you just have to chew through something, muskets sometimes have a hard time with non-targetable cards, especially ones that are larger than say 3400 because that's the biggest you can get in the deck. So you just, you go into your max, do your searching, you have your Link Karibo, you do your Security Dragon, bounce something, and then you just turn those 2 into the Ningirsu and just out whatever you want for free.
Nice.
And then the final card is 1 Boral Sword. I've yet to make this, but max summon 5, and they're well protected. Your opponent usually just loses.
Yeah, it makes sense to have that there,
Yeah, you just basically make something large, swing over something, and then just attack for kill.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the extra deck. I've been liking it so far. Again, thinking of seeing if I can find another Super Poly target. But yeah,
all right.
that's about it.
One last question. What do you think this deck's worst matchups are currently?
So currently, worst matchups. Well, of course, the Crusadia Guard Dragon, the Thunder Guard Dragon.
Yeah.
The reason why that's such a difficult matchup is not necessarily because... I mean, it's Crusadia Guard Dragon.
Yeah.
The deck's ridiculous.
Everything has a hard time against that,
the deck's ridiculous, but the problem is that your normal play is normal summon. If they're smart, they're just going to Heavenly Seals, and then you just kind of...
Yeah, you're out of a turn, basically, yeah.
Just immediately die. So that just kind of... It usually takes, Instant Fusion can deal with that. Called by the Grave can deal with that, but they usually have negates up. So if they're smart, the thing is that you want to bluff them, and if it's say game 1, because you have sides for it, say Sphere Mode and Control and whatnot to help with that deck.
Yeah.
But no, not Sphere Mode. You would be siding into definitely not Sphere Mode. You'd be siding into say Evenly Matched or something along those lines.
Nibiru soon, evenly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nibiru.
Quick play raw sphere mode.
Yeah, you basically need to expend multiple resources in order to deal with a single bounce. Because you have many negates to protect that as well. If you don't let them know that you're playing muskets until later on, if you can help it, theoretically they won't be smart enough to negate it because technically the other cards are better. But the biggest threat is Heretic Seal, just bouncing your stuff.
Cool, right, makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for the profile.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, so that's it for the Magical Musket deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and toss a comment down below, and we'll see you guys
Subscribe to Winter Kids.
Yeah, if you want. Yeah, see you guys.
You have to.
You absolutely have to. All right, we'll see you guys in the next one.